It's Billy. Right now. Yo, what if I got attacked by the clones? What if the builder think they found a better stone? What if the beat don't match with the metronome? What if that means you walk your path alone? Call me a vagabond. If all these streets leading to Rome, then wherever I lay is my home. It's Brooklyn, boy strong. I manifest, I'm in the zone. Y'all silly better back up off my throne. Listen, boy nice, better give him his propers. How we come out sane from all the mosh pits. How we found the key to the game without a locksmith. How we seem to manage these lanes is so obnoxious. He let it flow from the brain, trusting the process. A vet journeyman on multiple rosters. If I want it, I go out and get it and cop it. A monster with limitless options. Man, like goddamn, y'all gon' soon figure out who I am. We stay cooking, y'all used to that spam. Western beef, I might square up with the square dance. Look, I change plans, not even a southpaw, I'm an outlaw with a rare stance. Your crew never had a fair chance.
Why's that?
I kill a whole bear with my bare hands. Oh, they studied the dark? Well, I was raised in it. Brain shifted, the kid displayed insane physics. Best story never told, and it ain't finished. How we handled the rock, spun and kept the same pivot. I frame different, hot like a flame kitchen. A whole 2 levels out of your range gifted. Catch me on the highway, lane switching. Or right at the top of your bay wish list. It's Billy. Right now.
What up?
It's Billy.
How we doing? What's going on, everybody? This is another episode of How Billy Sees It. It's gonna be a short one today. It's gonna be a half-hour one. Just trying to catch up on some things, and I'm gonna try to get everything I can into this 30 minutes, and it's gonna be a good one, y'all. So, it is February 6th, 2023. At 8 o'clock, it's another How Billy Sees It. And I'm on with y'all. And the title on this one is... I forgot what I have for the title. Hold on, let me check. How to Know She's the One. How to Know She's the One. We talking about love. We talking about dating real quick. As you know, I'm married, and I'm in a great, loving marriage. The question of how to know she's the one. I'm seeing a lot of this, right? You know, I have this Instagram handle that I just picked up called The Real Manosphere. You should check that out. And it's funny because when you get on that, and when you get on these, on the social media apps, and now the algorithm I have with that profile is really getting me into a lot of, man content about how to get the girl and how to be happy and how to do all that. So one of the topics you see a lot is how to figure out if she's the one, how to pick the right woman for you as a dude, as a man. So I wanted to get on that. Today. And the funny thing about it, most of the time when people talk about this kind of thing, it's very much about, we start to list all these attributes that we want from her. We want her to be this and that. Quite often she's got to cook. She's got to, want kids, and, she's got to look good and stuff like this. Those are usually in the top. Those are the top 3, it seems, quite often. But then there's other stuff. Obviously, you want a supportive woman. You want a nurturing woman, a woman who is kind and can soothe you. And somewhere further down the list, for some reason, when I talk to dudes, man, it's like humor is a lower one. Women have humor really high for them, but for us, we tend to put that low. I don't quite get that. We're talking about the one. We're talking about the person you're going to spend most of your time with. If we're talking about the one, we're talking about marriage. Is that what we're talking about? Because if we're talking about that, then you're talking about the rest of your life. So yeah, it seems like humor and this kind of like the ability to have a cool, fun banter, to be yourself around that person is the key thing. So one of the key things. But there's a trick in this title, right? It says, how do you know she's the one? I think the real answer to this question, instead of listing all these attributes and comparing the women you're dating to these attributes, the first thing we need to do is to know ourselves. You can't know if she's the one If you don't know yourself, if you don't know what you want, who you are, what you're intending to do with her, with yourself, how you're intending to spend the rest of your life alone or the rest of your lives together, that is all work that has to be done for you to properly answer that question about who's the one. Just think about it, right? If you go to Best Buy and you try to get a computer today, a computer is a pretty complex piece of machinery. One of the first things they'll ask you is, what do you intend to do with the computer? They won't just give you a computer. They won't just start telling you the processor that you need or point you right to the one that you want, and they just have a whole bunch of list of attributes, because everyone has a different need for their computer. So someone like me, I do animation, I do graphic design, I do video editing. I need a computer that does certain things and has a certain kind of power and graphic capabilities. I need web access. I need a couple things. Other people use a computer, let's say a CPU, primarily for Zoom, or you use it primarily for your emails and it's kind of work, spreadsheet type stuff. That's an entirely different purpose. It means that you can approach the market for computers in a very different way, and that you should approach the market for the computers in a very different way. If you were someone who simply does like taxes and work spreadsheets on your computer, you would have wasted a lot of money if you got the computer that I am currently using. This setup right here is a beast, and it's a beast for a reason. I put it to good use. I do a lot of different things, and it crunches a lot. And in fact, it's already now, it's already, I think, 6 or 7 years old. No. 5 or 6 years old. And so, yeah, it's going to come up soon where I'm going to have to consider upgrading again. But get my point. You can't go into the market for a CPU without an understanding of yourself, without an understanding of your needs and your desires. That would be a silly move. You'd end up with something either you didn't need or something you didn't want, and it would cause a problem. The same is true with a car. When you go to a car, one of the first things they'll ask you when you're out there trying to buy a whip, they'll ask you what do you intend to do? How often do you commute? Are you a highway driver to get to that commute? Are you someone who's looking to do long trips? Are you hauling stuff? If you're hauling stuff, you need a pickup maybe, maybe you just need a simple sedan. Maybe, it's how many people are in your family? How many people are you carrying or driving around every single day? Those are important questions. So I think a lot of times when you see this content talking about how to find the one, and they're just pointing out all the cool kinds of things that are available, all the cool kinds of women, all the cool attributes that we have assigned to women, that's not good enough. Where's the self-inquiry? This isn't it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Is that what we think it is? It's not like that with computers. It's not like that with cars. Those are complex things that I guess you invest in them, and I guess there's an assumption that at some point, you won't have the car for the rest of your life. So this feels even more important. The girl you're gonna be with, she should reflect your sensibilities and your needs and your desires, and each of us has a very different way of going about that. Right before meeting Sheba, I actually had a girlfriend that I was living with, and it wasn't a great relationship. We had a different sense about what a good Friday night looks like, as simple as that. And we got along pretty well. We were friends for a long while, platonic friends, and then it transitioned into a relationship. But it really took living together to notice, partly because we weren't having those conversations. See, I've learned from this. I'm trying to impart this onto you, to have these kinds of conversations early, to really understand each other better, more than the physical attraction, more than, the ability to kind of enjoy each other at a bar or to do a date situation, which is always fun. Marriage, long-term relationships, cohabiting will uncover truths about each other. And it will be important that you can navigate those truths together. And again, the first thing, I just want to hammer that home. We're at the 10-minute mark. The first thing is to know self. Okay? That's super important. So let's see. Baby says, my baby Sheba says, men want women who find the man funny rather than a woman find woman herself is funny. Yeah. I think that's right. Yeah, we do say shit like that. Like, she has to get our jokes. You know what I'm saying? But it's nuts. Like, I've always found, like, a funny woman. Like, how do you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a good look. How do you not add points to that? But some people won't. And this is part of what the problem is. If you aren't doing your own self-analysis and self-awareness to get a sense of who you are and what you want, you might be looking for and assuming the best qualities in something that isn't right for you. So, you know, my years ago when I lived in DC, I had a roommate who was from Louisiana, and he loved trucks. He wanted to buy this big Ford heavy duty truck thing, and I never understood it. But it was a cultural thing for him. He was from the South. He's from the country in this little town out in Louisiana, and that's what it was. But the truth is, if, you know, we were living in DC, if he had this big old truck in DC, it would be nowhere to park it. He had no intention to haul anything or do anything with it, you know, to use the truck in its fullest capacity. It was just a, you know, a thing he wanted. And I think we can want things, and we should want things. We should have fun with things. We should, you know, if he wants the truck, have a truck, but just know why you want the truck. Just know why you want the truck. And if you want this crazy computer that can do all kinds of stuff, fine. Just know that, you know, it may not be serving you. It may not be serving you. So one of the ways to do this for me that I found in terms of figuring out who I am and what I want, not just in a woman, but definitely in a woman, but also in life, in career, in all the things that life are going to throw to you. She says the truck was more of a status symbol. I think so. I think it was. And it was also like, if you come to New York with a truck like that, it's not going to work for you. You see how these things are all cultural and specific to different periods of time and specific to different regions. You know, it's all complex. But if we're talking about tying yourself and getting into a marriage contract agreement with someone for the rest of your life, potentially bringing a new person into the world, a new human into the world, and then parenting this human together while also maintaining a loving relationship with each other, then you're gonna want to make sure you have something deeper going on, a deeper connection than your desire to get a status from the thing. Okay? So, like, a lot of people when they come and visit and see the office here and they see my computer, people go, "What is that?" Because it's pretty big. It's a huge ass computer, and there's a little people go, "Oh!" and the desk does all this stuff. But like I said again, like, I use this thing. It works for me. I've thought about it and made it work. And so with when it comes to dating, and this happened years ago, yo. If I could tell a quick story, probably about 12 years ago, I had an epiphany about myself and how I was approaching things. So 12 years ago, we're talking about, what, 2010? Yeah, right around there. I just finished grad school at American U for international relations. I was trying to figure out what to do. I had started doing animation. I was kind of 2 years into doing animation, and I was telling people that I had all these plans for animation, you know, and I was gonna do a little anime. I was gonna have a YouTube series, and I was gonna do cartoons. This is 11, 12 years ago. And the funny thing is, I have all those things now, but that all started really in the last 2-3 years. But 12 years ago, I had these aspirations and these goals, and I was, you know, going through the challenges of becoming an animator, learning how to draw and how to do the animations of the different programs. The point I want to say here is I wasn't being honest. I was telling people a lot about myself as an animator. I was getting the excitement of being seen as an animator. My friends would introduce me to people as an animator. On some level, I'm sure if I could talk about this on a chemical level, on a, on an internal level, there was some serotonin release that occurs from presenting oneself as an animator. But I had to stop and be radically honest about what I was doing and how I was using my time. Who I was, what I was doing. I wasn't that person. I didn't really have things planned out. I was really stressed about it. I had this anxiety that I need to figure out something so that I could make the statements true, but that was a process, and it was a process to become really honest about it. Say, yo, you're telling people you're an animator, but you're not that yet, and that's okay. Or you are kind of like that, but you're not prepared to be the kind of thing. Like, tone it down. Talk less about who you are. Be it and understand it, and be observant of self. So I started to do that, and I started to notice every time I would embellish a little bit about what I was working on, or I noticed every time I had anxiety. Even someone was asking me about, hey, what about that? How's that thing that you were working on? And I would have to tell them, oh, it's coming along or something. I started to be really honest. And so the first step to knowing yourself and knowing who you are, so that then you can be clear about who she is, the first step is this kind of radical honesty about everything that you're doing. I had to eliminate lies. I had to eliminate falsehoods, eliminate untruths. Why? Think about it. Why do I need to lie? Why do I need to present something? Who for whom? What is it? What is it serving me? Like I said, I actually feel like some of those things served to give a boost of the ego and to feel good. But because I was boosting ego and feeling good without actually creating, without actually being the thing, it created anxiety inside of me because I was aware of the untruths. You know what I mean? So, stop lying. Practice integrity. That's right. There we go. That's practicing integrity, getting your actions to align with your words. It's okay if your words are not aligning with your actions, sort of. I'm saying okay because I want you to take the time to have them meet, like correct your actions such that they can meet. It's actually not okay. We have to become uncomfortable with falsehoods coming out of our mouths. Sometimes I talk to dudes and I see this, like again on the manosphere interwebs. The wild hypocrisy like dudes have, and women have this too, I'm sure. I don't, but when it comes to cheating, when it comes to sex, when it comes to promiscuity, when it comes to anything, any kind of performance, any kind of observation you can make, to be consistent, to judge yourself with the same metric, One of the things that we do as men, one of the things we've been trained and taught to do as men is to consider women as something very separate and different from men. And so we know that we hold ourselves to certain standards, and there's certain anxieties that we have, and certain archetypes that we know that we need to try to aspire to be. And this can be a weight, this can be a burden and a challenge for us. And as we engage with those challenges, we have a different set of standards for women. We have a completely different set of standards. And I want us, men in particular, to consider why that is. Why would it be that cheating is sort of an okay thing that we can do? Why would it be that, lustful desire is something that is okay for us, but not for our partners. Um, I remember in college, actually, I lost my, uh, like I was waiting for, when it comes to dating and stuff, I was a late bloomer, man. I was heavy Christian stuff and was waiting for marriage and all that. But when I lost my virginity, when I'm a sexual adult in college, I remember this was right around the time when a lot of the reggae rhythms at the time were doing stuff like, um, they were anti blowjob stuff. There was anti oral sex. You don't have oral sex with your girlfriend. So I remember hearing this stuff, receiving this stuff that women. There was this like really stringent requirement that women, the girls you're dating, don't reward the hoes. You should date good girls who were either virgins or near virgins, and you don't want oral sex from the girlfriend. You want your wife to have never put her mouth on your penis. That's the move, because she's your wife, and respect your wife. And I remember thinking, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? I was like, this is a wild ass thing, but that existed, and I guess the sentiment has changed. You don't hear much of that anymore, but the double standards persist, and all of this stuff. These are impediments to finding the one. There are girls out there, women out there who are fantastic and who have all of these different attributes and who bring a ton of stuff to the table and are really interested in you and want to get to know you and are seeking partnership, but you've held on to some weird standard and some weird assumption about them and who they are. And you have this list again, instead of coming internal to figure out who you are and what you want. You already have a list, the cooking list and the cleaning list and like the virgin list or whatever. You have these things, and you're looking for that and missing all of these I don't know, the full breadth of what women are. Women are not those things. Even the women that are those things, they're not just those things. You know what I'm saying? We got to get over that. You can't know if she's the one if you don't know what you want. So stop lying. Stop lying to yourself. Be honest about what you want. Figure out what you actually want and what you would want. Who is the person that you want to be with? Stop being a hypocrite too. Look at yourself. Are you the person that, would you want to date yourself? Would you want your daughter to date you? Would you want your sister to date yourself? That's a real talk, obvious and easy question. It puts your mind in the right framing to understand that the women you're dating are human, right? For some reason, we have a better opportunity to notice that our mom and our sisters are human, but we don't always see it that way with everyone else. Be honest about that. Work on that. It's not sufficient to have these hypocrisies. It's not sufficient to have these things that don't make sense. It's something to work on. And I think part of it is, typically a lot of men, we get together and we don't challenge each other on that. So people just hold on to these horrendous ways of thinking, which make them, I would say, dumb in the marketplace of dating, which make them a worse potential partner, which ruin their chances to be happy, because as I said, you miss out on all these things. And should you land someone, this is a situation I've seen actually in some friends of mine. They actually do get a girlfriend. They like this girl. They like her. They met her, let's say, got in the DMs on Instagram and start to communicate, and oh shoot, it's working. Now y'all connected, and now that you have something like a relationship going. And immediately, the goal is to try to keep this person tight into a kind of a box. If you met the girl, she was, you saw the pictures, on the internet, and there was bathing suits and little scant clothing, and you liked all that, and then you get into a position where you're in a powerful role, and you're more engaged in this person's life, and now you want to change all that stuff. But the idea that you would have to change is very worrisome to you. You wouldn't want to be changed in that way. So this is all part of the hypocrisy. But we do this thing. One of the ways when you get familiar with yourself, you realize how important it is to be yourself and how much you value being yourself. By doing the work of discovering yourself, you realize how valuable you are, the type of person you are, and you want to defend your right to be it. And so she will do the same thing. She's a human. She's she's just as complex as you. She's going through some of the same stuff that you're going through, but she goes through it in a different way because she's a woman and the world perceives her differently. And it's not just because she's a woman. She's going through it differently because she's a different person. And so, her entire framing and story and her expectations, her familial cultural background and her traumas and trials and challenges are all going to be very different from you. We just need to have this kind of openness and fullness about that awareness, and to allow that to be. There's this one Instagram channel that hit me up. Actually, they messaged me and sent me, because really what I'm doing on the Real Manosphere is I'm collecting some of the best stuff that I find, and then I put them back on my story. And this one, I think it was Alpha something, sent me a message, and it was one of their posts, and it was a post talking about, man, it was talking about how men are traveling and going to other countries now to get women because those women cook and those women clean and those women know how to treat a husband. And obviously I just deleted that post. I deleted the message and all that stuff. But it was just a disgusting post, but it's so pervasive. And it's so historical. This is an historical, we have this residue of bad ideas and of power relationships. And if you're committed to that, if you're committed to old ideas and old power relationships, and those things are attractive to you, and old archetypes, and you have an old vision of how your relationship should be given to you by old people, then you're going to have trouble, because you're going to go out in the dating scene, you're going to be looking for that, and you're going to have a challenge. And it's just like being, if you look at the 1950s or something, look at the movies from the 1950s, and you think that every house should be a house with a picket fence and a dog and 2 kids, and you want a yard, and you're committed to that, and you're committed to the idea that it should be a single household. The man should be making the money, and the woman should be in the home doing chores, happy to do chores, doing them in heels, and being a caretaker and a mom. If you're attached to that, then you're going to be upset again. I'm trying to point to something here. If you are attached to something other than the person that you're with in the relationship, you're going to have issues. You're attached to something other than the person you're with, on the date. You have some set of assumptions and requirements of her other than to figure out who she is, then you're going to have issues. And it's true with her, it's true with you, it's true with your assumptions about how the relationship might look going forward, We are all, and this is the challenge, I think this is the challenge of life, we are always present. There is always an incredible, complex, hard to describe, but persistent reality that is happening right now, and it's always moving and changing, and It's always here. And if you're watching it, you're in it right now with me. If you're attached to some prior experience, some prior archetype, label, image, assumption, story, you will have issues. Across the job market, the dating market, doesn't matter. So know yourself, know who you want, so that when you sit down present, you're not judging her based on an archetype or some past ideal. You're judging her, if you're judging her at all, you're judging her based on what you know, based on your sense of what a good Friday night is, what a good Saturday weekend is together. Is this someone who you can negotiate difficulties with? Because even if you find the perfect girl who, whatever that means for you, that she's that, you two are constantly evolving. You're constantly evolving for however long you two live and however long you two are in a relationship together. And challenges will arise. Things will happen. And she needs to be someone that you can negotiate those difficulties with. I don't just mean negotiating against each other. I mean as a team moving forward, pushing back against the challenges of the world together. That's huge. That's a meaningful thing to look for in a partner, you know? Much more important than the cooking and the cleaning thing, if you ask me. And I think obviously so. That other stuff, that domestic stuff, again, is just rooted in old stuff. And it's heaped in, it's dripping with all the misogyny and assumptions that this is where the woman needs to be. The woman, the woman's roles are in these places, and as long as she can handle that, you can figure everything else out. I think that's a bad look, and I think that's why we have such a low rate of success on these long-term relationships, especially in the present. It's you're not dealing with the now. You're not dealing with the fullness of your partner. You're not dealing with the fullness of yourself. And so you're just creating the conditions for suffering and for confusion and for a lack of cohesion. You're going to be talking past each other. There's going to be a disconnect because you're not in tune with yourself, and and because you haven't been in tune with yourself, this is what happens, yo. You become a different person when you're in tune with yourself. When you're in tune with yourself and you allow for the fullness of who you are, the full expanse of what you could be, you see all of, and you allow for all the stuff that you consider bad, the things that you have shame around. If you can come into a place of peace with those, you are a trillion times more likely to come into a place of peace with her challenges and her, shameful things, or things that she, that aren't that great about her. She's a human, just like you. So, I said it in the last video. I think one of the issues is a failure to realize that these relationships, in the first place, any relationship between two adults is a relationship that is entirely voluntary. It is entirely a choice that two people are going into, and they have the right at any time, for any reason, to pull themselves out of it. And so the goal then is to be your best self and allow for the best self of her, and be able to mesh and choose someone, like I said, for whom you could you can navigate those difficulties well. But it all starts with you. It all starts with me. It all starts with me as the seeker of some partner. Who, what do I want? So we have to come back to self. We have to be radically honest. We have to stop being hypocritical. And we have to realize that I'm gonna end off with this. I'm already at Already 8:36. Time flew on this one. Jesus. I said this in another one, but there's so many ways to talk about you. I can pick your skin color and call you a black man. I can talk about your height. I can talk about you as your title. I can introduce you as a title, as like what you do for a living, your profession. I can talk we can talk about you as a person who's been through a couple of things, a lot of things through life. And different people will be interested in you in different ways, you know what I'm saying? And for different reasons. So, there's a whole system of banking and commerce out there that wants you and talks about you in terms of your credit score. That's how they're most interested in you. But that you're so much more than that. And when you sit deeply to understand how all of what you are, the good and the bad, then and only then do you really have an opportunity to look out and to find a compliment. And that's all I want to say there. And I'm going to wrap it up on that. You can't begin this question prematurely about just looking out. Now, what you can do and should do is just go out and date. Even if you're not, you're going through a process, you're constantly evolving, as I said. You may not know yourself fully. You're still working on being radically honest. You're still working on removing the hypocritical ideas that you have in your mind. But go out, date, meet people, figure out what you don't like through those interactions. Be intentional in that way. That's worthwhile. That's a good look. But the whole time, operate with integrity. Operate with integrity. Make your words match up with your actions. Be a loving and kind person. Be honest. If you don't like the person, keep it real, keep it moving, keep it pushing. If you do, demonstrate that, you know what I'm saying, with intelligence, and there's, I don't want to get into like specific like details on dating techniques and things like this, but communicate and choose wisely, because the person you choose at the end of the day, if we're talking about the one, again, it's a big deal. It's a life-changing thing. You're bringing on a huge personality that will affect your mood and your experience in the day-to-day. You are adding family members and who will be a part of your experience. Your partner can be an asset or in many ways a burden if you're not careful. And rather than being like preoccupied with how big her butt is or how sexy she is or how well she can cook, I think there's just a whole bunch of realities at play in life. It's a much more complex question, and you can't get started until you know self. So I'm excited because in 2023, there's so much movement on this. A couple of years ago, I was talking about knowing self, and I felt a little bit like, dang, there's not much language on this, and but again, at the Real Manosphere, I'm seeing how many men and women are deeply involved in this process and aware, and knowing self. So know yourself, y'all. Know yourself. That's it. That's how you can figure out who she is. Or is she the one? Check out Sheba's video. She did one yesterday, geared more to the ladies, but it was, are you the one? But it's really asking the same question. Are you the one? Who are you? Know yourself. Love yourself. See, this episode for me, I said a lot about knowing yourself, and I think that that's key too. The next step after will be to love yourself. And that's another thing. Maybe I can talk about that in another one, but knowing yourself is a key one, and I'm fearful that a lot of us don't know ourselves. We rationalize ourselves. We come up with a nice narrative about ourselves. We like a story that we tell ourselves. We live in a world that rewards us so heavily for presentation, for our capacity to very tightly describe ourselves in a couple of words and elevator pitch and things like this, but that's not who you are. And let's do that work, yo. Let's do that work. 2023. All right? That's it. This went even longer than I thought, but it's all good. Thanks very much for being on here. How to know she's the one. Know yourself. Peace. Be good, everybody. Honesty and empathy. Peace.
It's Billy. Right now. Yo, what if I got attacked by the clones? What if the builder think they found a better stone? What if the beat don't match with the metronome? What if that means you walk your path alone? Call me a vagabond. If all these streets lead into Rome, then wherever I lay is my home. It's Brooklyn, boy strong. I manifest, I'm in the zone. Y'all silly better back up off my throne. Listen, boy nice, better give him his propers. How we come out sane from all the mosh pits. How we found the key to the game without a locksmith. How we seem to manage these lanes is so obnoxious. He let it flow from the brain, trusting the process. A vet journeyman on multiple rosters. If I want it, I go out and get it and cop it. A monster with limitless options. Man, like goddamn, y'all gon' soon figure out who I am. We stay cooking, y'all used to that spam. Western beef, I might square up at the square dance. Look, I change plans, not even a southpaw, I'm an outlaw with a rare stance. Your crew never had a fair chance.
Why's that?
I kill a whole bear with my bare hands. Oh, they studied the dark? Well, I was raised in it. Brain shifted, the kid displayed insane physics. Best story never told, and it ain't finished. How we handled the rock, spun and kept the same pivot. I frame different, hot like a flame kitchen. A whole 2 levels out of your range gifted. Catch me on the highway, lane switching. Or right at the top of your bay wish list. It's Billy.